In this tutorial, Mario will learn how different positions are interpreted in Poker Coach. Our coach will tell us, just like a real coach, that all situations depend on what has been happening at the table. In this case, at the table, as we can see, we have all the different positions. We start with the big blind, small blind, button, cut off, hijack, low jack, middle position, and early position. Depending on our position and the action that has occurred, decisions and numbers change drastically. Let's see an example. Say we're in middle position on the hijack and we have a hand like a suited king-queen. What does the screen tell us? Players who act before us, starting pre-flop with under the gun, have already acted. If any of them acted against us at the table, we need to look at who was the last to act against us based on the colors in that position and act accordingly. However, if they all folded and the action is on us without any raises, we make our decision based on the color shown for our position. But if we open the hand and the others folded or open raised, we just called, and then someone after us raises, we only need to respond if they raise. Because if they just call, we don't act, we just see the flop. That decision is based on the circles of the players acting after us. The decision changes based on whether they are attacking us or if we decide to call or raise against the people here. Our decision making depends on which side of the table they are on. So let's interpret this chart that shows the situation with a suited king-queen. In this chart, we have 100 big blinds in our stack. Here, our play can vary depending on our opponent's stack size or our own. In other words, this refers to the effective stack size in big blinds. Therefore, it's very important to not that, it's about making a decision. Because you have to consider your hand based on the actual number of chips you have, as those are the chips in play. So let's start with the standard tournament situation where you have 40 big blinds. Let's analyze the situation where we have a suited king-queen in the hijack position. In this case, we have 40 big blinds. What happens if players before us have already opened? Let's assume the player who opened was UTG. Here, the app is telling us to 3-bet as a bluff with our suited connectors and we'll 3-bet to 5 big blinds. But if the openers were UTG1, EP1, or MP, you can call it what you like. In fact, the app defaults to MP. The correct play is to just call. The orange highlight on UTG means we can raise half the time and call the other half. So we can occasionally use suited connectors to bluff against a UTG open. To what amount? 5 big blinds, meaning if they open to 2 blinds, we raise to 5. In that situation, you can also make an adjustment. If he opened to, say, 2.2 blinds, you can raise it up to 5.5. The correct play is to raise the minimum amount possible to get them to raise their bet. On the other hand, if everyone folded and we opened the hand as indicated here, we should open to 2 big blinds. At that point, it starts to indicate that everything is in the green zone. In other words, we have to call with suited connectors against a 3-bet from any of the possible aggressive players. So if the button 3-bets us, we have to call with suited connectors when we have around 40 big blinds. We can observe how this changes depending on whether we have more or fewer blinds. For example, if we have 20 blinds, we no longer open raise to 2x, but instead we simply go all in, which changes the entire logic of the hand. And then if we have 10 blinds, what happens is that we go all in here. So we don't have to make any more decisions going forward, which is why everything appears in gray or light brown, indicating it's out of range. Since we're already all in, we don't need to make decisions as our opponents will be making them for us. This is how the position and color schemes work together as we start to see them combine. In the next tutorial, we'll explore what each part of the Poker Coach Tile Viewer circle represents.